affecting patients using psychedelic drugs, sensory deprivation, electroshock treatment, and more. The program was known by its codename, MKUltra.
Did the CIA control the music industry? Were iconic rock legends secretly contracted as mind control operatives? Rumors swirled for decades over the possibility that some of rock music's most iconic figures were involved in a covert psychological operation. The stunning evidence indicates the government was manipulating musicians as willing or unwitting participants in a grand social experiment. Tune in as we explore the mind-bending links between the CIA, MKUltra, and the birth of rock and roll. The CIA's covert mind control program, MKUltra, hidden deep within American intelligence, a dark project was in the making, MKUltra. No conspiracy theory, but a well-documented fact, a horror experiment on human minds. Secret mind control experiments were carried out by the CIA in the 1950s and 60s, using unwitting civilians, prisoners, and even military personnel as their guinea pigs. Electroshock therapy, sensory deprivation, hypnosis, and heavy doses of LSD were all involved in this chilling experiment. Victims were left mentally shattered, unable to reclaim their own thoughts. Some, such as Frank Olson, a CIA researcher who mysteriously fell out of a New York hotel window, met tragic ends. Others were hospitalized, their minds shattered forever. But what if this program went beyond seedy laboratories and into popular culture? What if MKUltra was not just about controlling people, but generations? The music industry, with its power and reach, could be the perfect vehicle for such a program. And this is where the connections become more and more horrific. The 1960s were a decade of unprecedented social upheaval, fueled by the counterculture movement, protests, and most notably, rock music. But was this revolution in culture spontaneous, or was it staged? Most researchers believe that the hasty arrival of psychedelic music in drug culture was no accident. It was, in fact, a shrewdly designed campaign by intelligence agencies to manipulate youth and guide social movements in a way that would be acceptable to the establishment. The advent of LSD, the popularity of anti-war movements, and the radical realignment of social norms all appeared to have been done in haste, almost as if by an invisible hand. Was it possible that rock musicians, the very embodiment of rebellion, were being manipulated like puppets? The music, the drugs, and the ideologies all were part of a perfect storm, turning an entire generation into a programmed army of passive revolutionaries, more concerned with peace, love, and hallucinations than actually toppling the power structures. The hand of intelligence agencies was all over the place. From Timothy Leary, who was widely known as the high priest of LSD, having profound connections to CIA-funded experiments, to rock bands suddenly promoting mind-expanding drugs, the whole movement smelled of manipulation. One of the strangest things about this theory is the involvement of Laurel Canyon, a distant Los Angeles suburb. This otherwise unassuming-sounding suburb of the 1960s and 70s was a hotbed of rising rock stars. Jim Morrison, Frank Zappa, the Byrds, and even the Mamas and the Papas were all heavily rooted in this suburb. What's even more bizarre is that most of these artists were connected to the US military and intelligence communities through family ties. Was Laurel Canyon a CIA-sponsored operation to dominate the music industry and, by extension, public opinion? The enigmatic frontman was the symbol of the counterculture movement. His poetry, his wild stage presence, and anti-establishment ideals made him the ultimate symbol of rebellion. But behind the rock star legend lay a dark allegiance to the military-industrial complex. Morrison's father, Admiral George Stephen Morrison, was an admiral in the Navy who was directly implicated in the Gulf of Tonkin incident, the event that escalated the Vietnam War and drew the United States further into the conflict. How could the son of this man, this symbol of war and power, become the symbol of a movement that dedicated itself to the repudiation of that very establishment? Was it coincidence, or was there a hidden hand controlling Morrison's destiny? The speculation is dark. Some believe Morrison was not merely a rock star, but a player in a game of psychological warfare. As Morrison's popularity increased, so did his increasingly strange behavior.
I'm talking about love. I'm talking about some love. I'm talking about some love.
Was he driven mad by the pressure of being a government tool? Or was he yet another victim of MK Ultra-style mind control, expertly manipulated to ignite rebellion that would never catch the actual powers behind the curtain off guard? LSD and other psychedelics were most directly associated with the 60s rock counterculture. The CIA MK Ultra project used LSD on cooperative and unwilling test subjects. It is suspected that some musicians were deliberately given the drug and encouraged to popularize its use in people. Why? So there would be a more pacified, more controlled population, getting high and enjoying music, rather than challenging the government's authority. Perhaps the most terrifying part of this theory is the string of suspicious rock star deaths. Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Brian Jones all died in mysterious ways at the ripe young age of 27. Coincidence, or did they know too much? Even the Beatles, the most iconic band of all time, have been associated with mind control conspiracies. The band is said to have been under the influence of the Tavistock Institute, a British psychological think tank that is said to be behind mass manipulation tactics. The abrupt change of the Beatles from clean-cut pop heroes to psychedelic trailblazers espousing the use of drugs has been suspect. Was this change a natural progression of art, or was it the work of forces other than contemporary music and the MK Ultra legacy? The majority of people believe that the current mainstream music industry is a repeat of these psychological experiments. They believe that the overnight successes of certain artists, symbolism in music videos, and ubiquitous control and submission themes all provide evidence to believe that the MK Ultra legacy lives on today. So did the CIA use rock stars for mind control? The evidence is circumstantial but compelling. From MK Ultra's experiments to the strange connections between musicians and intelligence agencies, there's enough to make anyone question the official story. Whether you believe it or not, one thing is certain: music has always been a powerful tool for shaping minds, and those in power are well aware of it. What do you think? Was the rise of rock music truly organic, or was it an orchestrated experiment? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the secrets of history and conspiracy theories.